Send this to somebody that likes a good joke. Blind man walks into a restaurant and sits down. The waiter, who is also the owner, walks up to the blind man and hands him a menu. The man looks up at him and says, "I'm sorry, sir, I'm blind and I can't read the menu. Just bring me a dirty fork from a previous customer and I'll smell it and order from there." Well, the waiter was kind of confused, but he walked over to the dirty dish area and picked up one of the forks and gave it to the blind man. The blind man took the fork, held it up to his nose, took a deep breath and said, "Yes, I think I'll have the meatloaf and the mashed potatoes." The waiter wrote down the man's order, and as he was walking back to the kitchen, he was thinking to himself, "This is unbelievable." Well, the cook at the restaurant happened to be the owner's wife, and he told his wife what happened. Well, once the blind man was finished with his meal, he paid the bill, got up, and left. Well, several days later, the blind man returned to the restaurant. The owner mistakenly brought him a menu again. The blind man looked up at the waiter and said, "Sir, don't you remember me? I'm blind. I can't read a menu." And the waiter apologized and said, "Let me go get you a fork. I'm very sorry. I'll be right back." So the owner grabbed the fork and took it to the blind man. The blind man smelled the fork and said, "Oh, that smells really good. I'll have the macaroni and cheese today." Well, at this point, the owner thinks that the blind man is probably screwing around with him. So when he goes back to the kitchen, he tells his wife, "Next time that blind man comes in here, I'm going to test him to see if he's just messing with us." Well, the very next day, the blind man returned to the restaurant. This time the owner seen him coming and he hurried over to the kitchen. He took one of the clean forks and he went to his wife and said, "Here, honey, rub this down in your underwear really quick." His wife said, "What?" He told her, just do it. The blind man's coming in. I'm going to play a trick on him." Once the blind man was seated, the owner walked over to him and said, "Good afternoon, sir. I seen you coming and I'm already ready for you. Here's a fork for you to smell." The blind man took the fork, put it under his nose, took a deep breath and said, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know Carol worked here."